transport requires energy in the form of ATP to work. This is because a substance is being moved against the concentration gradient. And since the substance's concentration inside the cell is greater than the concentration gradient outside of the cell, and vice versa, in order to expel or bring in more materials, energy is needed to go against the concentration gradient.
This is pretty similar to swimming upstream. You need energy to do this. Electrochemical gradients exist due to ions that enter and exit cells. Remember that ions are atoms or molecules with a charge. Most ions are positively charged and most transport proteins are negatively charged. The interior of cells is negatively charged compared to the extracellular fluid. This causes sodium and potassium to come into the cell. And cells have higher concentrations of potassium than they do sodium, so potassium, by facilitated diffusion, often gets driven out of the cell. In many animal cells, the sodium-potassium pump is an important active transport pump. First, the pump faces inward, attracting sodium ions. Sodium is then loaded up to the pump, and ATP is used to help the pump change its shape. As it changes shape, sodium leaves the pump, and now it can attract potassium ions. Removing the ADP, or adenosine diphosphate, causes the pump to go back to its original position while delivering potassium ions, and this cycle starts over. Of course, cells need to move larger molecules or lots of molecules all at once sometimes, and for that there is bulk transport. Endocytosis is one of those that brings bulk materials into the cell, and there are three types of endocytosis. Phagocytosis occurs when a cell membrane surrounds and engulfs large particles. Think of when a white blood cell engulfs a pathogen. Pinocytosis occurs when the cell membrane invaginates a surrounding small amount of fluid and pinches it off into a vesicle. Receptor-mediated endocytosis occurs when the plasma membrane has a specific receptor to attract specific molecules. And when enough of the given molecule is there, it coats the vesicle, will be formed and sent to the interior of the cell. Exocytosis occurs when a cell needs to move bulk materials out of the cell. A vesicle with the given molecule will fuse itself with the plasma membrane, expelling said molecule. In the case of insulin, an example from the previous eukaryotic cell video, a vesicle containing insulin would be on a vesicle, which would then fuse to the plasma membrane, releasing the insulin into the extracellular area and eventually the bloodstream.
Now that we have looked at the major inner workings of cells, let's move on to how cells acquire and use energy. In our next set of videos, we will be exploring the world of bioenergetics.